Good afternoon, everyone, my dear colleagues, my friends from Africa, participant as well. Mark, it's nice to see you again after a long time. Dr. John, it's been a long time. I'm so happy today. After a long break of COVID-19 and social distance, it's a great friend to meet him, Dr. John. We're always a speaker on ICD events. Me and Mark, we never seen each other since New York 2015. And it's great to see Stefan as well. All we nice friends we have ever met. And it's my pleasure to stand again and to make a small presentation about the impact and the lessons which we learned from COVID-19. So as you know, guys, it was a pandemic period. It was the most sadness period in the world during past 4 years back. Since 2020 up to 2022 was really a harmful period in the world. So today we're going to speak about the effect of COVID-19 and its impact on the African economy and influence on youth ages. We going through, because we have very few minutes, so we will go through the slides, the lessons which you're gonna take, and the guide with the key lessons from drawn from VNR, which Voluntary Network Reviews, which is being created in Africa recently to monitor and to watch what things going through. We will go for how have countries reflected to localization of the SDGs and agenda in 2063 in Africa, South Africa, and the African continent as well, through voluntary local reviews. We will go also what innovative approaches, tools have African government adopted to prepare VNR. Did the pandemic provide an opportunity to improve the government accountability? That's a big question. I think, for me, when we speak about the Millennium Development Goals and when we speak about the African development chances, we always seek for the goals and for the targets. For past few years back, we were speaking about the accountability, how we can go through the accountability from the government to the local to monitor and this type of agenda which is happening. So the outbreak of the pandemic came as a shock. We were living in a peace. The world was in a peace of mind. Suddenly we came, within few weeks and few days, came to know that it was a disease. It started as a disease and suddenly it came as a shock. So pandemic itself, it came as a shock and came with a disease, sudden goes as a pandemic and sudden goes through a very fast in death rate up. It was having so many impact on the social area, on the economic, on the societies, countries. So we were in need of taking quick decisions. Especially in Africa, we always taking things in delay, and we are late. It's not like it, because of the way we live our life. It is slightly not that the way of fast life it's supposed to be. So the African culture itself, it has so many effects, and as you know, guys, we are still bound in the third countries area, and we do our things towards the global issues. Recently, about the pandemic itself, it teaches us how to take a quick decision, because people dying on the streets and suddenly these numbers became high, and we were in need of to take a quick decisions. That's one of the things which we learned from the pandemic. Suddenly the economic suddenly stopped. We already suffering from the slow down in economic, and we don't have the fast growth in sales, and I think the global issues about Africa, everyone knows about how we're suffering a lot about the economical situations, and all this suddenly stopped. It was a pandemic period of time where it came as a shock, and we couldn't know. Even for us, for the young ages, we were supposed to take an accurate actions, but we couldn't know because there is no many tools was around, and still we depending on the world aid. Uh, Still we suffering from uh, uh, slow slow of the process. So the government itself, they didn't know what to do. Was a pandemic area, on the pandemic period. They couldn't do what the things, and they couldn't identify the disease itself, and all this come in late. So one of the lessons which we learn from the pandemic is like how to compare the budget for the programs and from developing sectors, the budget what you have and the budget required. It was for us a big lesson how to do the correct programs and correct developing and urgent issues. We have a fixed deposit. It was something we planned for and something required. It was a bigger lesson for us how to compare and how to take the budgeting exactly in exact uh, time and exact sessions, how to keep it and how to think of urgency and how to take a quick decisions with a low budget. Was a big lesson for us how to identify the budgeting area and how to make it and how to take quick decisions. So we have a VNR parental process. Was South Africa, they made it for them in 2019, and we have general agenda in Africa in 2030. Lessons learned from this period is important of partnership, the importance of collaboration, importance of data collections, importance of coordination of an institution, health institution, WHO, how to coordinate with each other to outcome to minimize the risk of death. It was a big this was a big report, which was it teaches how to work in a team, and as well we gone through the importance of integration between all types of channels to reach the development goals at that time. We have the goals, how to recure ourselves, how to prepare back again the situation as it was. That it shows us how integration between the institution and between the society, between the governors, and how to come. And the most main important point it increases for us the sense of urgency. Previously, we didn't know even the point of urgency. Now, this is a big lesson which we learned from pandemic period. It teaches us the sense of urgency, which we really appreciate. Our governments, they took it as serious, and it was taken as a point of issue. That's South Africa localization of SDGs and Agenda 2030. That's like national development plans. They have a plans for 2030 just for Africa as well, and reduce the poverty and inequity towards the national and international goals. The Africa agenda is in 2063. It's to approach Africa based on inclusive growth. SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals in Africa, end of poverty. That was a main issue we speak about. We will speak also with the ambassador regarding the poverty and how we can classify the poverty itself in the African through some types of, we can say, grades, because now the poverty itself, it comes into grades. 2030, now we have a very clear plan for the poverty itself and how we can classify the poverty, how we can increase from level A to level B. That's which one of the great lessons we learn from. That's the African approach. This diagram shows where exactly we are. If you go through the agenda of the regional and national, international, we are stuck now in between because of the pandemic. It delays. We were supposed to be in like lion fifths. Now we are realizing, and as you know, all the world has stopped down for past 3 years, and it made a lot of loss. Now we are stuck in between. We couldn't reach out the goals as it's supposed to be in 2022. And that's a diagram for the national and international SDGs, how we can identify the sustainable development. Everyone knows about the sustainable and millennium development goals as well. And that's the last diagram. It shows the African continent, the SDGs for the African continent, which is supposed to be in 2030. And the last diagram is 2060. We have a map called as SDGs in Africa as well, which is made now by the Network Development Plan, NDP, local reviews, which is made by youth for to target and to match up where we are and where we're supposed to be. That's now it working an agenda. All these outcomes became out of COVID pandemic. This is one of the great lessons. Now we are in the right track. We plan according to the sustainable factors to fix it time we're doing. Now this is one of the great output which we came to learn from the pandemic period. And this is also SDGs and the governance, how we need to be and where we are. This is a mapping experience, SDGs and NDPs, which is equal. The mapping for the local is towards the international one for MDGs. COVID-19, it teaches a lot of approaches. For us, it's like we say, it suddenly came to know it was a shock. And how to do this was like to lock down the countries was a big issue. All you know that we are in a poverty stage, and Africa still depends on the daily income. We don't have savings, Still we work hard. Still we have the type of poverty, and still we depend on our daily income. And that was to minimize the risk of effect of COVID. We gone through lockdown, so it was a big shock for us, and we didn't know that time through youth, and we made the local organizations for distributions to help poverty. That was also one of the great approaches we came to learn. And now we have small points I need to speak about, the lessons which we came to know about from COVID-19. This is a sound policy making towards the achieving intended results, coherence of policy making, having a proper regulation and proper rules, having a proper monitoring and evaluation system, strong statistical system, the interference between the policy and sciences, efficient of institutional arrangement, collaboration and coordination, which I was speaking about previously, about the lessons which we learned from. I was just need to speak again about these points with the great lessons we learned from. Conclusion, came to know that we were supposed in 2030 was supposed to reach the level of Millennium Development, which is being created by United Nations, especially for us, for Africa, for child mortality, poverty, HIV, AIDS and control, to minimize death because of the health systems, which it was inaccurate. Now, after this COVID-19, I think from my own thinking way, I think we still slowing. COVID-19 has slowed down all the steps which we were in a fast race with a time towards the international agenda, and it was going good. It was going great according to the nation measurement and data. For past 5 years, since 2019, 2020, speaking today about the end of 2022, everything has stopped because of the war, because of the economical situation in the world itself, because of the aid, because of the international organization, because of the situation of the world itself, things which is happening in Europe, happening in United States, the economic things, it's already affected there in Africa, affected the way we're supposed to go and we were supposed to be. Less employment, we have things. And in general, when we speak about this, we speak about which is happening futurely. I think I left few time minutes, I guess 2 minutes. Now this is the impact which from my way, I think it will increase the illegal immigration, and it will increase the crimes, it will increase the unemployment, and it will increase the poverty. The situation now is terrible, and I was speaking with Dr. John like 30 minutes back about the impact which is going through youth. We're going to lose daily. Daily we're losing friends through illegal immigrations with the river, from Libya, and traveling through the world, going from Sudan, traveling to Libya and taking the boats through Mediterranean and dying in between to Europe. All this is also having impact. All this is because of the lockdown, because of less economic, less potential supporting from the world itself. And that's also when you're comparing it toward the global and international goals, which we're supposed to be to relax and settle down in our countries. Now things has been totally changed. I think my time is left.
Yeah, you are double.
Yeah, I'm doubling. I'm sorry for delay, and I'm sorry for taking much time. Thank you for listening. It was fast. We will speak a lot, and thank you once again, more guys. Thank you.